We'll introduce our presenters here in a moment, but just the outline of the agenda. We're actually going to take a moment to talk through what's new in gPanel. We have one particular new update that we'd like to show you. And then we are going to do a full workshop and tutorial on all the different things that you can use in gPanel to manage your Google Drive. You get people like me, the marketing team. We're sharing stuff out all over the place. We've got a ton of files in there. And you have employees that are coming and going. You have outside parties that you need to share with. Keeping all of that under control, or at least keeping it under your watch, is a real challenge. So gPanel, it's probably some of our strongest features and the features that people use most often. That's the majority of what we're going to talk about today. And of course, as I mentioned, we're going to do Q&A. Where possible, we'll do Q&A immediately. So if you drop in a question and I feel like we can jump in and address it right there, we'll try. Otherwise, we'll take a few minutes at the end. And again, if we don't get to it, we'll follow up with you directly. Our presenters today, we have Shelby Gaines. She's on our support team. Hi, Shelby.
Hi, Brandon. Hi, Mark.
Hello.
And of course, we have Mark Baccarin, who is one of our customer engineers. If you've been in gPanel for any decent amount of time, you've probably come across one or both of these folks. This is such a big topic that we had to have this one double teamed. Too big for just one person to carry. Some of you here don't know, like maybe you're not using gPanel yet. There's plenty of people that are in trials, and you're not familiar with Promevo. We are the creators and managers of gPanel, but we're also a lot more. We're a premier Google Cloud partner, which means we help you with your workspace, with your Chrome devices, Google Cloud platform, your like dev environment, your hosting. And of course, over top of everything is all the AI tools, most notably Gemini. So Promevo will help you buy these services. We provide support, customization, custom development, all the things. We are your go-to place for Google services. Just a reminder, every month on the second Tuesday, usually Shelby, hosts gPanel Basics, which is a half-hour breeze through of the most important functions in gPanel. So go to promevo.com/webinars. You can sign up for those, whether you're a new user or just someone not using gPanel to its maximum capacity. That's a good place to go to learn about all the things that gPanel has. What is gPanel? gPanel is essentially a power tool that sits on top of your Google Workspace environment, and it allows you to do a lot of things, tons of things that the Google Admin Console doesn't allow. Things like automation, bulk edits. We have over 70 reports in there. So all the things that you want to do. If you need to onboard 500 users in a matter of minutes, you can create a sequence that automates all of that stuff for you. If you're not a client or you're not in a trial, go to promevo.com/gpanel and start your trial today. Let's talk about what's new. And Mark, we have a new billing interface. Do you want to do a quick breeze through of that?
Yeah, absolutely. We do have a new billing interface. It will be located in the same place as before. Down on the plans and billing section, if you click on billing, you'll notice that it's got an updated look. It's a lot easier to navigate. We've got everything across the top now, your subscriptions, payments, billing information, and billing contacts. On your subscriptions page, you will be able to see all of your subscriptions. In this demo, I only have one, but you would be able to see all of your subscriptions. And if you're on an annual plan, you'd be able to add your own licenses here. So you could self-serve. You wouldn't need to rely on contacting your reseller. But you can add notifications here. And then in the payment section, you'll be able to see your payment methods. The default method is invoicing, but you have the option to add different payment methods and also update your auto pay here. The next section, in the billing information section, you can view and update your company's billing account information. And then in the billing contacts section, you will get a list of your billing contacts. I just made a few recent updates, so it might be a little bit slow for me, but here it would show all of your billing contacts. You can specify who you want as the primary billing contact. You can come in here, add more contacts, edit them, and so forth. And that's it. So that's the new look.
Exciting stuff. Thank you, Mark. Okay, I want to hand it over to Shelby, who's going to walk you through Google Drive.
All right, thank you, Brandon. We understand that managing Drive through the Google Admin Console can be cumbersome and sometimes time consuming. There are tools that you will find in gPanel that will help streamline your administrative processes, in addition to offering greater flexibility and customization options for your Drive management. I will be focusing on the Drive tools from the Drive tool menu and the reports, where you'll discover how to efficiently monitor and analyze Drive usage within your organization. Mark will then take you through some of the key Drive functionalities that you can find within policies and automation, demonstrating how to implement and automate Drive related policies for your domain. And by the end of this session, we're hoping that you guys leave here with a comprehensive understanding of how gPanel can simplify your Drive management workflow. So let's go ahead and get started. gPanel, Drive management provides a more intuitive user experience than Google Admin Console, particularly when it comes to transferring ownership between drives. You can always manage your users' drives from within your user profile. You'll find the Drive tool up here, but today we're going to focus on the Drive tools found on the Drive tool menu. Unlike the limited My Drive management in the Google Admin Console, gPanel's Drive Explorer provides comprehensive access to all of your users' folders and files. Administrators will have the ability to create folders, view documents, adjust sharing permissions, control document visibility, do some other pretty cool things like set expiration dates for access. So let's take a look at that. As I mentioned, you will have access to all of your users' folders and files. They will all appear here. If your user is if they have any type of share drives, you will find them by clicking on the share drives. This user doesn't have any share drives. But for when this is what admin will be presented with, they'll see all the files and folders, and they'll be able to manage those. I do like to highlight that admin will have the ability to transfer drives. In the Google Admin Console, you can transfer a drive. However, it can be irreversible. So we do have a tool called the Drive Sweep tool that Mark will be going on a little bit more in depth in later, but I do like to highlight that. But if you ever needed to transfer a drive, you would come up to here and you can search for the user that you want to transfer it as well. You would again have access to all the folders. You'd be able to not only view the folders, in the event that you needed to view folders, you would have to request access. But let's click on this specific one. Let's say I needed to view this specific document and I already have access to this. I would actually be presented with the hyperlink to the Google Docs, where if I needed to share it out from here, I could share it out. If I needed to download it, I can do that as well. Another option for admin are going to be able to rename the document, which is helpful in certain situations. Maybe you need to update it from 2023 to 2025. Administrators are also able to make a copy of this, which can be helpful in certain cases. And I think the most useful permissions that you can find for admin are going to be the sharing aspect. You'll be able to change the visibility from the top level, so you can restrict it to maybe only a few people with the link that need to look at the folder and files. Maybe perhaps everyone in your domain needs to look at these folders and files. Admin can come in here, they can change the visibility. They can also add users in groups. So if you needed to add maybe perhaps the HR group to a drive, you can come in, you can add them. You could also change the roles. These roles are going to be native to the roles that you find within the Google Drive app. And another cool thing that I always like to hide is the expiration date feature. You can come in here and you can set an expiration date for maybe a user group. So let's say if you have a file folder that contains some finance documents and you only need HR to see it for maybe a month. You can come in, you can add your HR group, you can maybe give them editor access, or perhaps they only need to just be able to view that document for a month. You can give them viewer access and you can come in and then you can set the expiration date for a month and even time. You can even get down as granular at the time. So that's something that is really helpful too. I like to highlight some use cases administrators might find the Drive Explorer useful would be for secure offboarding. When you have an employee that's leaving the company, an admin can use the Drive Explorer to transfer the employee's drive to a new owner while ensuring that other team members can retain access to relevant documents. You can control the sharing permissions for that. And maybe for temporary collaboration purposes. An admin can use Drive Explorer to grant temporary access to specific files or folders for external partners or contractors. And also they're able to ensure that their data is going to be secure after the collaboration ends by adjusting sharing permissions and other expiration dates. So that's something that's helpful as well. The next tool that we're going to cover is going to be the Drive Search tool. Now, if you are familiar with the Google Drive search tool, you know that you're only able to search for your own documents, meaning if you needed to find documents for other users, if you needed to find specific folders, you can't do that. The Drive Search tool within gPanel is going to allow admin to access all folders and files within their domain. This tool provides a variety of search parameters, which enables your administrators to refine their search and quickly locate the documents they need. Once a document is found, administrators can manage it similar to how those actions are within MyDrive, including viewing, editing, sharing, and deleting. So let's take a look at how it works. So you can pick from a source. You can use either a user, a group, or OU or domain. In this case, I'm going to use a user. You have to pick a source type. And then these are all the different parameters you can choose. For the document title, I'm just going to type in something that I know that exists. I know a folder exists, but again, you don't have to have the exact document title. If you are looking for the exact document title, you have that option right here. But here I'm just going to select actor, and then I'm going to hit search. And what this is going to do is going to pull up not only the folders that have actor in the folder name, but as well the documents as well. And again, as I mentioned, you'll be able to manage those similar to how you manage those within MyDrive. So again, I can come in and I can view this document. It'll open it right in Google Docs. Again, I'm able to share it out if I needed to. I'm not going to share it out anything, but if I needed to download it, save it to my drive, I can do that as well. If I needed to rename it, make a copy, and again, those sharing permissions. So if I needed to change it from restricted and I needed to make it available to anyone within the domain, they can see this drive. I can do that. I can also adjust and change their permissions. In addition to that, I can also add certain users and groups to the drive and set expiration dates, as you are going to be able to do within the MyDrive. And so this is going to be the Drive Search tool. Some use cases for this I can think of are going to be perhaps maybe compliance audits. An admin may need to seek or locate a specific document or set of documents, perhaps some folders with the domain, to ensure that they are compliant with company policies. You can use the Drive Search tool for that. And data loss prevention. An admin may need to find and secure sensitive documents that have been inappropriately shared at risk of unauthorized access. Again, for an admin to be able to come in here and to change those sharing permissions, this is something that you cannot do within the admin console in Google's admin console. The next tool that I'm going to highlight are going to be the ownership transfer logs. For companies that operate in highly regulated industries and must adhere to strict compliance standards, maintaining detailed records of data access and ownership is crucial. The gPanel ownership transfer logs provide a report that tracks the transfer history of all drives within the organization. For this demo, in my demo environment, I only have 3, but this functionality is particularly valuable for companies with stringent compliance requirements. And if you have admin that need to monitor and audit data ownership changes, the ownership transfer logs are going to be beneficial for you. Again, you can use these for compliance audits or data loss prevention. They just provide a great track of who created, who the transfer was created for, who was the source user, and who it was sent to, and the date it was created. Again, just a great track of keeping those logs. Drive Sweep tool, Mark is going to go a little bit more in depth into that. So I'm going to go ahead and head over to Share Drives. As you share drives, being an administrator over shared drives in your Google Admin Console can be overwhelming. It can be cumbersome, but allowing for administrators to have extensive control in gPanel is where I definitely like to highlight, like the shared drives. You're not able to manage any of the shared drives in gPanel, in the Google Admin Console. Admin are not only going to have the ability to create shared drives, they're going to be able to manage members. they need to add different members or groups to the shared drives, they can do that. They will also be able to adjust the settings for shared drives. I like this section a lot because in the admin console, the settings are scattered. Here in gPanel, they're right here, so you can quickly change and customize the different settings that you need to. If admin needed to rename the shared drives, they can do that, as well as delete the shared drives. There will be some certain instances if you encounter a drive where you lack access, there will be a convenient access request pop-up that will appear. So for instance, if I needed to access Cole's shared drive and I didn't have access, it would ask me to grant myself permissions. In this event, I know that I want to manage it from a top level, meaning that I want to be able to add users and stuff like that. So I'm going to give myself the highest permission available, but you can always give a user maybe viewer access or commenter access, just depending on what they need. Once I have access to the shared folder, I am then going to be able to come in and again manage it similar to how you manage my drive. Another cool thing that I do like to highlight that is sometimes in some of these shared drives, if you do click on, let's show this one. If you click on a shared drive in a specific file, it will take you directly to that file, similar to how it does with your My Drive. So for instance, it's going to take me directly to this PDF. I can open it with Google Docs. If you need to use Gemini maybe to summarize the document, you can always do that. It creates that shortcut, so you don't have to go looking for it. It just creates that shortcut there for you as well. I will say that it is crucial to remember that the permissions hierarchy within the platform functions identically to Google Drive, meaning permissions are inherited. Therefore, when you are granting permissions to yourself and others, make sure to practice caution because those changes can have cascading effects. So let's take a closer look into shared drives. Again, all of the drives that the admin will have access to will appear right here. And again, they'll be able to not you can grant yourself access to those drives, but you can also come in and check out the drives too. Check out the documents that are in the drives. And this is pretty cool. Like I said, it's going to open up, it'll create that shortcut. This is a blank document, but again, if I needed to share, print it, I could do that. I'm also able to rename it and again, share the document. If I needed to change it from restricted, I can change that. If I needed to change it to anyone with a link and change their role to commenter, I can update that as well. And if I needed to add an expiration date, just again, because this folder only needs to be shared for 2 weeks, I can do that as well. And this is just taking just a little bit longer to update. But I do like to highlight for the gPanel, the drive management features, including creating folders. You're going to be able to view documents and adjust sharing permissions, control document visibility, and set expiration dates for access. I would like to highlight some key strengths versus the Google Admin Console. It's going to be a user-friendly drive transfer process. Again, you can transfer those drives up here. You can pick who you need to transfer the drive to, and that will be a seamless process. You will have enhanced My Drive management. So gPanel's Drive Explorer provides a little bit more comprehensive access to all the user files and folders than what you will find within the Google Admin Console. Granular control. gPanel allows administrators to create folders. You're able to view and edit documents again, adjust those sharing permissions. The powerful drive search, which is again one of my favorite tools to mention. You'll be able to search and manage through any document within the domain, without the domain, again, something that you cannot do within the Google Drive admin console. And compliance support. If you needed to keep track of all the drive transfers, you can always reference your ownership transfer logs. We are now going to transition into the reporting tool. gPanel's reporting tool is a powerful feature that provides administrators with a comprehensive and granular view of their organization's Google Workspace environment, specifically Drive Insights. While the Google Admin Console offers basic reporting capabilities, gPanel goes way beyond. We have over 77 customizable reports that deliver specific details. I would like to highlight the reports that focus around your Drive events, and I also like to say that you have the ability to schedule these reports. You can create automation for your reports. If you're familiar with creating reports within the admin console, you know that once you go through and you create that report process, once that report runs, it's gone. You'd have to go back and set it up. With gPanel, you can come in and you can create that report. And if you needed to have it automated to maybe it needs to run every Tuesday at 9 o'clock, you can do that. So we're going to just walk through one of the reports, one of our drive reports. This one is going to be our docs shared externally report. And this is going to be a report that provides customizable insights into the file sharing of your activity. It will include details about external shares, information about email addresses, share name, share role. It has over 25 available columns. Again, that report, you can change those columns so you can tailor it to focus on specific users and groups, as well as OUs and domains, and it can be easily shared with each other. Again, this is a specific report that you will not find within the admin console, and this is what it will look through if you were to create it. So the first thing you would do is you would find the report. All of the reports are going to be listed by service. So you would find all of your Drive type reports under Drive, email type reports under email, so forth and so on. If you needed to schedule, this is how the scheduling automation will look. It is really user friendly. You can add times, you can select your schedule by weekdays, months, however you want to set it up. You will then have to choose a destination, and these are what the columns of information look like. All of the drive reports are going to look a little bit different. They will offer up different information. So if, again, you don't have to choose all 25 rows, you can pick and choose what you need. Perhaps you only need the shares name, you only need the shares role, and maybe the doc owner. You can pick those columns. So you can customize it and tailor it to what you specifically need to see. You can source it against users, groups, OUs, and domains. In this case, I just went and I sourced it against one user. But again, if you needed to find maybe your HR group, or like Brandon said, your marketing group is sharing out a bunch of documents and you need to see what docs were shared externally, you could target their OU or their group and you could run this report against. You will always have the option to email the report out or share it out. Again, this is helpful in situations where you know that you have to have, let's say, a compliance report needs your compliance department needs these reports by 10 o'clock Monday, every Monday. You can set up this automation. You can automatically set it up to send to that user or that group, and you don't have to, you can forget about it. So this is where you would set it up. And then lastly, it will always give you a review of your report. So if you needed to maybe change out the column, maybe you wanted to change some things, you will always get this review page down at the bottom, and that is going to allow you to see all of the changes you made, all of the configurations that you created. If you like what you, then you can go ahead and hit update. This is going to be the final look. All this information was found in real time, but again, this is providing me all the information what I'm looking for. If I'm looking for a user that shared externally, a doc shared that was, excuse me, a doc that was shared externally. So I have the doc owner, doc title, I have the last modified user. It just has a lot of good information. Again, all the Drive document reports, they're going to be a little bit different. They're going to offer up some different stuff. We have another document report that I like to highlight are going to be the doc with links report. That is also another good report. If you are trying to track down what docs with links were shared out, which users they were shared to externally or internally, you can always find that data out too. Again, these are going to be reports that you cannot find within the admin console. cPanel logs provide admins with a record of all admin activity, allowing them to trace the sequence of actions and identify configuration modifications and help to pinpoint some potential errors. This is helpful when you are trying to troubleshoot and resolve issues that may arise when changes are made within the Google admin console. Specifically regarding Drive, there are going to be 4 events that you can look for. The 4 events that are specific to Drive are going to be Drive data restore, Drive setting changes, Drive and Docs org branding provisioning initiated, and Drive and Docs organization branding attempts. All 4 of these events, if you needed to find out what type of changes were happening within the admin console, come into the cPanel logs. You can look for that information related to Drive. Again, you will see all of admin activity recorded, but again, this is specific to Drive. If you needed to figure out why a Drive setting was changed, maybe users are not able to share out certain links as they used to. This is a really good place for admin to come in and just give them an idea on where to troubleshoot and where to start. Some use cases that I can always think of for the cPanel logs would be accidental data deletion. If an admin accidentally deleted a user's drive or shared drive, they could examine the cPanel logs and filter using the Drive data restore events. The admin will be able to identify the deletion action and potentially restore the drive to a previous state. Perhaps the admin selected the incorrect sharing settings, or a user reports that they cannot access a file that they should have access to. An admin can check the cPanel logs for a drive setting change event to see if any recent changes to sharing permissions or drive settings may have been caused. In conclusion, gPanel enhances Google Workspace control and reporting. It also helps with your drive management. It helps to streamline your admin tasks, improve security, and aid compliance. And it's also just a little bit user friendly for your admin using the gPanel tool. I am now going to pass this over to Mark, who will cover some other gPanel tools that you can find within gPanel.
Thank you so much, Shelby.
For sure.
Mark, it looks like we had a question come in. The question is, we can transfer a whole drive, but what about transferring multiple files at one time without doing the whole drive? Can you transfer files between users?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Shelby did point out this feature here, the full drive transfer. Oftentimes that's going to be too much. You just want to transfer a few items at a time. And so to do that, I've looked up my own user. I see my folders and my files. I can go ahead and just select whichever ones I'd like to transfer to somebody else. And I'm going to click share, this add share icon in the upper right. And then I can add whoever I want, but it's a two-step process. So let me choose this person. First, you actually have to add them in as either a viewer or an editor. And once you've shared that out with them initially, then you can go back and this share here. You'll be able to find the person that you shared it with and then change their role from editor to owner, and then go ahead and give that an update. And then those three files will be owned by the other person, the recipient. So that's the process on doing that. And you can see here that the owner, after a few minutes, the ownership here in the ownership column will change.
Fabulous. Thank you, Mark.
Yep. Great question. All right. So next, we're going to talk about some additional drive features that are located throughout gPanel. These are not as obvious as the ones that Shelby pointed out because they're not in the drive section. They're specifically located in automations. There's some bulk drive options that you have. There are drive features in the gPanel APIs. And also there's a whole section in the role management where you can adjust the drive permissions. So I wanted to take this time to go in depth into those not often used features and just show you where they are and give you some examples on how to set it up. So first, we're going to start off in the automation section. In the automation section, we're going to begin with the rules engine. So the rules engine is an automation that's actually only available in gPanel Enterprise tier. It's not available in the gPanel Starter or Standard tiers. But when you are in the gPanel Enterprise tier, you will see the rules engine pop up in the automation section. It's the first option. Here's just the first screen of it. I'm going to give you a little walkthrough in a second, but just to give you an explanation of what it does, what the rules engine does is you can select, in this case, we're focusing on drive events. You can select a specific drive event. You can see the triggers here are whether a document is created, deleted, downloaded. We're adding to this list. We're going to add things like if it's shared externally, if it's shared internally, and then you can give it additional filters like who or how many times that it would happen before the trigger is triggered, then describe the scope of it, one user, multiple users, a group, an OU. Before I get too far into it, I'm going to actually switch my screen here and we will go into the live demo so you can see where it is and how it works. All right, so back on gPanel. So first of all, it's located in the automation section. This is a little preview if you don't have gPanel Enterprise already. You will see it here if you have Enterprise, the rules engine. The first thing you'll see is a list of all the rules that have been created, and you can review the rules and make adjustments if needed. We're going to just go ahead and add a new rule. I'll take you through the entire configuration here. We're going to call this one demo. Nice to put in a description, but that's totally optional. In this case, we're just going to choose drive events. That's what we're focusing on today. And we're going to choose a document deleted for this example. So this means whenever a document's deleted, I'm going to want some action to be performed. So we're going to go to next. Here we have the occurrences. Whenever a document's deleted, I can choose for it to trigger on different occurrences. The default is anytime it happens, but oftentimes that's too much. Maybe I don't want an action to be performed every single time a document's deleted. Instead, I can uncheck that and choose a threshold. I might say, okay, maybe if 5 documents are deleted within a certain time period, I can say within maybe 3 minutes. That's a little suspicious. Oops, I have 3 days here, but I can choose 3 minutes, 3 hours, 3 days. I'll say within 3 minutes if there have been 5 or more deletions, then that will trigger whatever action I'd like to trigger. But first, we still have to describe the scope. Now we can run this on just a single user. So we've got sources here. Over on the right side, we have drive sources. But on our user sources, we can select individual users here just by simply typing it in. You can choose one or more users. I could choose this person, for example. If I wanted to add them, I would just hit add, and then I can continue to add more. Also, if there's a specific group I'm targeting, I can simply select group and then choose from the drop-down menu. Oops, I think I have to type it in. Okay, here we go. Say I wanted to target my project management group. I could add that in. The same thing with orgs. I could go by org unit if I'd like. I can choose from different org units that are in my admin console. And if I had multiple domains under my workspace, say I had secondary domains. In this case, I only have one domain, but I could choose it if I wanted to. If I wanted to apply this domain wide, if I had secondary domains, I could also choose those. But yeah, let's say I wanted to apply this to my entire domain. I will go ahead and just apply that to my entire domain. And I could also add an additional filter, shared drives, user drives, or any regular expressions. I'm gonna put it on shared drives, and I'll specify it. Maybe just in the new hire shared drive. So I'll have those 2 filters. So far our configuration is anytime a document is deleted. I'm sorry. If a document is deleted 5 or more times within 3 minutes, and it happens in my entire domain, and also specifically in the new hire shared drive, then these actions can be performed. The next section will be the actions. We've got various actions here. We have quick action, or we have notification actions. So you can see you can send an email out to one or more people. You can also send a chat space message. If you have a particular chat space, maybe you have an IT or security chat space, you can send a customized message there. In the message, you can include things like the space URL, different tags just to make it helpful. Sorry, there's a little delay on my side here. So you can just choose different fields here, rule name, rule description. So you don't have to rewrite everything, and it just adds the rule as a little schema there. So you can go ahead and configure that. So that's your notification section. I'm going to skip policy for now, but down in the user section, we have some quick actions that you can do. You can quickly suspend the user, change their password, reset their password, sign them out, and then change their calendar time zone. What the really cool part is the policies. I probably did this out of order. You can actually configure a policy, and then you can run that policy after this rules engine policy is triggered. So a policy would be some sort of a package of actions that you've packaged together previously. In this case, you could say, maybe I want to move them to a very specific OU for quarantine, and I want to perform some kind of like drive transfer, drive block, or block them from sharing, stuff like that. Your policies are, I'm actually going to go into that next, but the policies, they're pretty flexible. In essence, basically, once you've built this, your policy will be showing that after this rule is triggered, it will automatically trigger your policy, notification actions, and maybe even some quick actions here. I'm going to go ahead and finish this up. Actually, yeah, I'll go ahead and run. I only have these 2 policies here. I'm not sure what's in them, but we'll take a look. So I'm going to go ahead and hit next. There we go. It's giving us a little review of how what we've just set up here. And so we can review it first. Once again, when a document is deleted 3 times or more within 3 minutes by users within this domain, or within shared drives, this new hire shared drives, the following actions will be taken. And then it's run that policy I selected. Once you finish it up, it will appear on the list here. And you can see that it's enabled. If I needed to disable it, if I'm still testing, I can simply click here and choose disable, and it will go ahead and disable that. So it's not active right now. All right, so that's a little preview of the rules engine. We're going to move into policies. Give me one moment. All right. We're going to move into policies and what you can do with drive options in policies. Policies are divided into 3 different policies. We've got onboarding policy, standard policy, and decommissioning policy. And as the names imply, onboarding policies are packages of actions that you can configure specifically for onboarding policies, which are drive actions that can happen at any time, and then decommissioning policies. So policies that happen at the end of a user's during the time of their offboarding. So back to gPanel. Policies are also in the automation section. They're located right here. I don't know that I'll have time to go through all of them, but they are very similar. You can see that I have 2 policies made here. One is a new user policy. That would be the onboarding policy. And then the ones with the policies type of standard, those are your standard policies, which are neither onboarding nor offboarding policies. Let's go into this one and see how it's configured. Oops. Okay, let's go ahead and edit it. So for the actions, today we're going to specifically talk about the drive-related actions. Oh, this is an onboarding policy. So the only drive-related action for onboarding is the one I've selected, the ability to add a user to shared drives. You can see I've configured it down here so that this package contains only the one action, only the one drive action, and it's the ability to add a user to, I had chosen this shared drive here, my new hires shared drive. I can also add them to any additional drives that I want to. Maybe I'll add them to that external testing. I could also just choose add them to every single shared drive. That might be just a little too much. So we'll keep it on new hires. And then I could also change their drive role here. Viewer, commenter, probably want to give it like contributor, something like that. Then you can save that. And then that package will be ready for you to trigger with the rules engine if you wanted to, or during your onboarding process. Let's head back to the standard policy. We do have a few that you can choose from, a few more. So we have removing from public shares and removing the user from domain findable shares. So because this is not an onboarding policy, you have those additional options. They're actually here. You still have add to shared drives, but we just went over that one. But here you have the additional one, the ability to remove that user from any public shares, domain findable shares, and then also from specific shares. So it gives you that flexibility. So you can configure these. You can choose one or multiple, and then you can configure them here. You can see we've got a few options here that you can choose from. Once you finish that up, and I finished it up here, it remains here, just ready to be used either in conjunction with the rules engine, or you can just run that one on its own. If you need to run standard policies on their own, you would simply click on the checkbox and then click run. Now that's only available for standard policies. You are not able to run manually. You are not able to manually run new user created policies in this way because they're only to be run during the new user onboarding process. All right, next we'll talk about the decommissioning policy. It's actually located, it's got its own separate subgroup down here. It's called decommissioning. And with the decommissioning policies, you can create a policy specifically for offboarding users. So let me just set this up really quick. I'll give it a name and I'll choose how I want the trigger to be and specify, well, I'll just choose any of my decommissioning OUs here. I'll skip this for now. I can send a notification if I want to, but I'm just doing a quick test now. Oops, I guess I have to. Let me put myself in here. All right. Next, we'll talk about the actions. And once again, the actions we're going to focus on today, although you can add as many as you want, we're just going to focus on the drive options. And you can see there's several of them here. Transferring docs, if you added that to your decommissioning policy, that invokes a drive transfer. Adding that in will will set up a drive transfer for you. You can pick when you want it to happen, either immediately, or if you want to check that, you can choose how many days out you want that to actually execute. You can notify the user or not. You can also select who you want to send this to. Either a specific person can be the recipient, or you could just choose manager, and whoever's listed as their manager will be the recipient of that drive transfer. I do not have time to go through all of the other actions, but they are rather self-explanatory. You can see that there's several drive options in here. Documents shared externally report. That was the report that Shelby was referring to earlier. We have these 4 activities reports, which are extremely useful. We have the the ability to remove external shares and remove this person from all shared drives. And those are the drive options you have for these decommissioning tool. Next, we are going to move on to the drive sweep tool. So the drive sweep tool, what it does is if a user has a drive structure with multiple folders, nested folders, within those folders are different items, different docs, sheets, etc. It might be the case that things in there are owned by different users and shared to different users. And what the drive sweep does is you can actually specify a single folder to be the drive sweep folder anywhere within that folder structure. And then that folder and everything below it, all folders within it and all files within it will be owned by the owner of the drive sweep. In this case, I've specified that this person, user 18, will be the owner of this folder called sweeper and everything within it. Now, the drive sweep updates about every 2 hours. So anything that continues to be dropped in there, and if this folder was shared out to other people, if they put things in there, they will eventually every 2 hours become owned by, in this case, user 18 here, or whoever you specify. So this can be very handy in a lot of different cases, but that is the drive sweep tool there. Next, we're going to go ahead and talk about bulk drive options that you have. I think there are 3 drive options. There's the drive transfer. So you can perform that drive transfer that we spoke about earlier. You can actually do it in bulk. You can see here that in this case, there would be 3 source users and 3 destination users. That's all you have to do. Make a spreadsheet specifying your source users and your destination users, and then perform that bulk drive transfer and kick that off. The next one is the ability to remove users from shares. So this removes a user from all shares that are selected. So if I chose a user here, and then the next part, I don't have the picture here, but we would choose the actual shares that we wanted to remove, and then we would go ahead and kick that off, and then the bulk action would be that any user on the spreadsheet would be removed from those selected shares. And then the last one is remove user shares, which removes all shares on files owned by the selected user. So if I was to select one user, I could run it on one if I want, but since this is the bulk drive tool, I could use it on multiple users and select them all. And then when I run that, anything shared to any of those users, those shares would be removed. All right. Next, we have the gPanel API. gPanel API is actually only on gPanel Enterprise. gPanel Enterprise offers 5 APIs, but only 4 of them actually contain drive options. These are the ones that do application log viewer, decommissioning policy invoker, onboarding policy invoker, and policy invoker. So the application log viewer, it allows the ability to run your application logs, the gPanel application logs, in a third-party software. If your HR team is using a third-party HRS system and you'd like to view the gPanel drive logs, they can do that using the application log viewer. The decommissioning policy invoker and onboarding policy invoker and policy invoker also do the same thing, in which you can invoke those specific policies that I talked about earlier, decommissioning, onboarding, and regular standard policies. You can invoke any of those in your third-party system. So that's what these do. I just have a few minutes left. I wanted to point out the last piece of the puzzle here is the role manager has actually over 50 drive permissions. And I highly encourage you to take a look at the role manager. You might want to create a role that gives somebody very specific permissions to maybe do drive investigations or perform drive functions. Let me switch over really quick. So this is located down in the administration section under role manager. we are just going to pop into this one here, just as our example. So let me collapse everything. And I just want to draw attention specifically to the drive permissions down here. I know it says there's 31, but there's actually drive permissions in actually a bunch of these different ones too. So all in all, there's over 50 drive permissions, but the drive permissions section houses the majority of the drive permissions. And you can see here we have these little icons on the left. That gives you the ability to view. This is an edit. That's also view. This is a creation, and this is a deletion. I typically, when I configure these, I typically start with my permission type, and I filter it with the least permission, which is view. And I'll go ahead and do that. And now I'm looking at all my drive permissions and the view permission specifically. So first of all, do I want anyone with this permission to be able to view the Drive Explorer? Do I want them to be able to view documents and so forth? If so, I would simply check it off there, and then maybe I'll head down to edit. Now, do I want them to take actions in that specific area, the Drive Explorer? So take different actions. Are they able to move docs, restore docs, et cetera, et cetera? I would work my way up the list until I get up to here. And as I do, I will pick and choose the permissions I want to give these people. The active column, that's for giving a permission to somebody. The immediate notifications column, if you check that, whenever that action is taken, a notification will be sent to whoever you'd want it to be sent to. And then the change log, that indicates if that permission or if that action is taken. It can be taken, but not before the person has to fill out a change log explaining why they're performing that action. So it's just a little bit of backup logs for you. And that's how you'd set this up. Of course, this is only one section of the roles, but it is what we're talking about today. But definitely when setting up roles, those same principles that I just talked about in the drive section, you can apply those to all of the other sections as well. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you, Shelby. There's been a couple comments about the rules engine, the APIs, being on the enterprise tier. For those of you that are here that are on starter or standard, reach out to your account manager. You can send an email to updates@promevo.com if you want to explore enterprise. We're happy to walk you through it. There's a ton of stuff that we're adding. We're adding enhanced features to all tiers, but really trying to build out those premium features on the enterprise tier as well to make it really valuable for you. So thanks again to Mark and Shelby for walking us through all that. We could probably spend 3 more hours going through it. I feel like we just touched the surface. So much power there. But thanks to both of you. And thanks to all of you who are viewing this live and in the future. Thank you for joining us. We love seeing you, and we will see you again next time.